right after Sidious took over and created his own empire. First thing on the docket was to retransform the former Jedi Temple into his own Imperial Palace. In order to do that, he would need a perfectionist, an architect that had his same vision. This is where Alva Bren comes in. She served as a colonel and the chief Imperial architect for the Galactic Empire. After Order 66 and after the rise of the Empire, Bren oversaw the alterations made to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, all within the guidelines of Emperor Palpatine. She started with all the traces of the Jedi being wiped out. The temple was now transformed into an Imperial Palace to accommodate Palpatine's monotone and dark sense of art. Having done a terrific job on the Imperial Palace, it led to another job for Alva Bren, and this time it was for a Sith Lord that had more of a ruthless taste. This began when Darth Vader requested his own planet from Palpatine, since Palpatine now forbid Vader on executing his missions around Coruscant. The last time he did that, he chased two Inquisitors around the city, wreaking havoc around the capital, and even killing a senator in the process. This exchange between the Sith is what led to Vader gaining Mustafar as his own planet, and the first thing that Vader wanted to build on Mustafar was his own fortress, Vader's castle, if you will. Naturally, Sidious went on to recommend Colonel Alva Bren to construct this castle. Sidious would send this Imperial architect to design whatever facilities Vader would deem appropriate. Sidious informed Vader that she oversaw the alterations to his palace, and by the end she had removed all the traces of the Jedi. She had an appealing, brutal aesthetic, something that Palpatine didn't say about a lot of people. He went on to say about Alva Bren that she was very good. After coming to an agreement, now Colonel Bren and Lieutenant Rogo accompanied Darth Vader aboard his new gift from Palpatine, the Naboo Royal Starship. They were on their way to Mustafar. As they were now approaching Mustafar, Vader informed Bren that he was to take control of the ship once they entered Mustafar's orbit. Thinking nothing of it, Colonel Bren and Rogo now were deeply in meditation about what aesthetic would best suit Darth Vader's fortress. They weren't quite familiar with Vader just yet. In the beginning, Bren thought that Vader would much more prefer a minimalist approach to his castle design, but once she gazed upon the beautiful Nubian starship that was now Vader's, she began to completely doubt how she would approach these designs. What both of them didn't know was that aboard this ship there was a sinister mask that Vader had brought. They had no idea that this mask would ultimately come into play. In entering Mustafar's atmosphere, as previously promised, Vader took control of the ship, and both Colonel Bren and Rogo were now alerted by the ship's security safety systems that the external of the ship and the hull temperatures had reached critical high levels. Once Rogo investigated further, he discovered that the Nubian starship was entering Mustafar's fiery atmosphere without any shields on. Despite them pleading with Vader to turn the starship's shields back on, Vader didn't even pay attention to them. This led Colonel Bren to have a panic attack, and not knowing what else to do and seeing her inch closer to death, she reached for her blaster. However, she was quickly disarmed by Vader through the Force, and he reminded Colonel Bren and Rogo that Emperor Palpatine had placed both of them under Darth Vader's authority. Luckily, in the end, all three of them landed on the Gaian Plains, near a Sith cave that Vader had previously visited on Mustafar. Once this Nubian starship had pristine mirror-finished hulls, you can even see a reflection on them, but now it had melted to a crisp gray metal, just as Vader wished. Once she saw the ship's exterior, Colonel Bren told Rogo that now she is beginning to understand Darth Vader's aesthetic, or perhaps lack thereof. Wasting no time, Alva Bren immediately began to work on her designs for Vader's fortress. To start with, she took a more basic approach and came up with the first design for Vader's fortress. She then began scouting the natural landmarks on Mustafar, and in the end she would conclude that last designs would be finished in 4 to 5 hours. Unfortunately, when Colonel Bren presented her finished castle schematics and blueprints to Darth Vader, the Dark Lord was not impressed in the slightest. Disappointed, Colonel Bren now retreated to the ship, hoping that she can retool the designs and hoping that they could please Vader. As she entered the ship talking to Rogo, she suddenly became startled, and a blaster shot could be heard far into the cave that Darth Vader was meditating. Once Vader approached the ship, he saw that now Rogo was donning Momin's mask. Vader was able to dispatch him quickly, but now was rather intrigued by what he saw. A new design by what he concluded to be this mysterious mask. The story of Lord Momin goes way deeper, but Colonel Alva Bren was no more. Her career had ended abruptly, and her last known work would go on to be a disappointment. A disappointment to Darth Vader. Of course, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you until then.